All right, so let's just talk about this, like hypothetically, these myths that like, hey, well, they had brass in their pocket, right? And it ends up being like this, like the fucking telephone game, right? I said it once, you take it, you put your spin on it, you say it again, and then you say something 3 fucking times and nobody laughs or nobody argues, it becomes fact, right? Rather than, I know a lot of these things you probably can't prove or disprove, but dude, let's just put some common sense to it, right? If let's talk about the officers that were killed in the California Highway Patrol. You're telling me that you have a training scar of putting brass in your pocket, but you have no ability to hit the fucking target. I don't believe that. Like the training scar, if you're training that much where you train this scar in, but you didn't train to be able to effectively engage a target, like it's not real. Like, apply some common sense to this shit, guys. It doesn't make this racking the slide shit. All that tells me is that you don't dry fire, or your version of dry fire is probably layered with so much minutia bullshit in terms of your tactical mindset essence or whatever the fuck you're doing, that you're not even dry firing correctly. Right? I mean, I think there's not one practical shooter or anybody that trains that dry fires remotely correctly that realizes, hey, if I'm pressing my trigger with not keeping the gun on a battery because I want to dry fire the skill of pressing the trigger at speed back to the rear without disrupting the sights, and you rack it every time, and in order for me to get 50, 60, 70 reps within a couple minutes, I'm racking the slide pretty quick. At no point did I ever whip the gun out in a match and shoot one round and rack another round in there. And I dry fire, you know, I would say conservatively, I do 500 to 600,000 dry fire trigger pulls a year. Like, so it's just, from my standpoint, when you say shit like that, it's like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about, so stop talking, right?
Yeah, it's, if you, like, demonstrably, I dry fire all the time as well. I dry fire in my house. I've got a whole battery of things on a dry fire timer, all that. As soon as I drop the striker and I'm done, I've got that millisecond, so I've got to follow through. I'm not dropping the striker and coming off the gun. As soon as I drop it, boom, I rack it, put it away. Okay, I don't look at it, I don't fuck with it or anything. I go out and shoot matches, I teach classes, whatever I do. I don't, when I'm done, rack the gun and put it back away and eject around. Like, none of that translates because I know where I am. I'm in my freaking house dry firing. And so it's like the inability to separate a training sequence from a practical or operational sequence is the problem. Like you said earlier, if that's a problem, if you can't separate those two, we got other stuff to work on besides the freaking trigger. Like, your awareness is not there.
Yeah, dude, there's a good one up here. You know, guys thought maybe it turns it to semantics thing, dry fire, dry practice. I don't care if you call it dry fucking.
I'm gonna give penalty back.
Dry cereal. I don't care.
You know what you're doing, right? If you can't compartmentalize when you're training, you know, and what you're like, isolated skill development, whether it's like compartmentalized skills that you're training, you can't figure out, hey, this is what I'm working on, and then I'm going to take this thing and apply it to the context of larger drills, larger exercises, and then it goes to scenarios. You probably really need to think about, even like I think your whole training paradigm, or the way you're structuring training is broken, right? Yeah. But now, like, so there's a lot of I think overwhelming, like, guys were like, man, this doesn't make sense. Like, you know, you had me till you started talking about dry fire. But I have seen even a few other guys, and you can't, it's hard to tell if they're trolling posts or whatever, that are like dry fire makes no sense. Live fire, I heard one that's like live fire beats dry fire, even shooting just 50 rounds. Chris, what do you think of that?
That's the same stupid shit people say that say we're training to kill people, clearly when they're standing on a range with a bunch of fucking paper on it. That's the same thing. So training scar, the idea that could happen, Mike's already spoken on once, I think it was a post a little while back. In a competition, when I'm running around trying to shoot the targets as fast as I physically can, you're not using cover, and that's going to give you a training scar. Bullshit. If I need to use cover, I use cover. And I'm telling you right now, there are situations that you might be involved in that are at least lethal force engagements where running to cover is the waste of fucking time. Just go to work where you are. You may move, you may not move. it's not always required. People saying that things will be a certain way, it's absolute insanity. I've done a lot of work, and I'm never going to tell people this is what your shooting is going to be like. You better do these things or you're going to fucking die, because I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Just know how to shoot really good and you'll figure it out.
Shooting's the fucking answer.